GPS tracking installers. Good evening. Thomas Keenan coming here into the group tonight again as we are on day 5 of 7. And we are on the topic of 7 skills to improve if you want to succeed in business. Today's day 5. Today we will be going over how to improve your communication, both internally and externally. So both inside your company and outside. Before we do that, I'm going to give a quick recap of the first 4 videos. So video number 1, which was Sunday night. And guys, just to reiterate one more time, all of these videos will be up here inside of this Facebook group for eternity. I do not plan on taking them down. And you can also find them at any time in the units section of the group. Okay. So if there's anybody that you hire new onto your team, anybody that you are associated with, friends with, and you want to share these videos with them, if they're inside this group, feel free to send them over there. Option 2, just have them head over to my YouTube channel as I am uploading these videos each night as we complete them directly to YouTube as well. And my intent here is in direct alignment correlation with my purpose, and that is to help other people succeed in business. So, recap here. Video number 1, Sunday night, was sales and marketing. We hit getting familiar with technology on night 2. Night 3, we worked on improving your time management skills. I know Mr. Mark Olympus, he enjoyed that one. Thank you for your feedback there, sir. Greatly appreciated. And yesterday, we discussed getting better at hiring. So tonight, once again, we are talking about improving your communication. Communication is important in order to be successful in business for sure, and it's an area that many of us we just suck at, especially when we get busy. We get too busy to communicate effectively. We get too busy to and you know this even goes at home. You get so busy with work that you forget to tell your wife, like, oh shit, you know, I'm supposed to go to my mom's for dinner tomorrow night. Stuff like that happens. I mean, it happens to me all the time. And there's no excuse for it. It's just a reality. But communication definitely is key. All right. So one of the biggest challenges that we had here at Top Class Installations, especially as my company grew and our team size grew, was how to effectively communicate quickly to the entire team. And to be quite honest with you, yes, everyone has email at my company. Email is widely used in the business space. However, it's clunky. It's not quick. It's not something that especially when you start pulling people outside of your organization, you should have more of a professional appearance in your communication. And it's cumbersome, to be quite honest with you. So once my team grew beyond a certain time, and I'll give you the exact example of how it happened, but we had brought on a bunch of new team members, and we went to send out a group text message to my entire team to say, hey, this is what's going on. We need everybody on board with this. And hey, Scott, you didn't miss too much, so no worries, sir. So we brought all these additional people onto the team. The company's growing, and we sent out a mass group text, and it got kicked back to us. And I think we had AT&T at the time for our cell phone provider. And they basically said, you know, you've exceeded your group or your mass text limit. And we had to send out multiple text messages to cover our whole team. I said, wait a second, this is crazy. Like there's got to be something out there that we can leverage software wise. So I kind of went on the hunt, you know, and I had heard of these different softwares out there, and there's a bunch of them now. But we wound up settling. I shouldn't even say settling. We wound up choosing and going forward with Slack. Okay, it's slack.com. And the best part is it's a free software. It doesn't cost you any money. Yes, they do have a paid version, but honestly, unless you're a big organization and you plan on bringing in organizations from outside of your team to communicate with you, you don't need a paid version. The only restrictions that you're going to run into are you're not going to be able to look back at your history forever. They're basically going to cap your messages at about 60,000 or 40,000 messages, and then you can't look back in your history anymore. And they limit the amount of other third-party applications that you could sync to your free Slack account. With that being said, Slack it's a combination of text messaging and social media. So the younger people on your team are going to get this thing really quick. It's great because you can share files, you can share anything. You can share pictures, GIFs, any kind of documentation you can think of. And what we've been able to do there is actually go in and create specific Slack channels dependent upon the conversation and who needs to be in the conversation. So for instance, we have a dedicated channel for our executive team. We have a dedicated channel for our installation technicians. We have a dedicated channel for our scheduling team. Because let's be honest here, we don't need the installation technicians knowing every single detail when it comes to scheduling work. When the customer calls back and cancels 7 times in a row, we don't need to bombard the installation technician with that data, that information, because they need to focus on what they're doing, which kind of goes back to the talk a couple nights ago where we were talking about, focusing on time management skills. We don't want to screw up the time management skills of the installation technician because that's where we're making our money. We're making our money with those guys performing their job in an efficient manner. So going back to communication here, Slack has really helped us cut down on the back and forth emails, and the Slack messages come over instantaneously. They're very quick. It's very simple to do it, very simple to use. It's an app you put on your phone. It's an app you put on your computer. If you don't have an app on the computer, you can even just go into the slack.com URL and open up and utilize everything there. If you are a Google Suite user, it integrates with your Google Drive. If you use Trello, if you use Asana, if you use Ring Central or DocuSign, any of these other softwares I'm talking about, they all integrate with Slack. Slack is an enormous company at this point in time. They've been around for quite some time. They're not going anywhere. And they are at the forefront of development and technology and working with other big companies to make businesses more efficient. So definitely some cool stuff there. Even if you have a smaller team, it may not be a bad idea for you to get your team on Slack and just get used to doing it. That way, when your team does hit that size or you do get to a larger point, you already have everything set up and it's easy to use. All right. So moving on here. And let me give you one of the main benefits of Slack. Slack, I probably said this already, but I can't reiterate it enough. Slack is going to cut down on the back and forth emails. You're going to be able to, the cool part is you can go in there and tag multiple people, and you could also have direct private conversations with specific people. One of the 2 other things that we use Slack for too is we have a ring the bell channel. So anybody who does something amazing, we make sure that we praise them in front of the whole organization. And we also put together custom Slack channels for large projects. So if we have a large project coming up, we'll create a Slack channel for that project, and all of the communication back and forth, point of contact information, install guides, anything that we need, installation photographs, the technicians have taken it upon themselves to create these channels so they can communicate with each other in a more effective, efficient way. A lot of times you do a big project, you might have 2 or 3 guys on that project for a good amount of time, and then one of the guys goes away on vacation or has an emergency or a death in the family, and you need to send help in to replace him. Well, how do you get that technician up to speed quickly? And if they have access to the Slack channel, it really helps out and helps, because ultimately we're communicating better is what it comes down to. Okay, so that covers your internal communication right there. Obviously, you guys know I've talked about this a lot here. We use Service Fusion in my company. I know a lot of people, a lot of members here inside the group, GPS tracking installers, they also use it. John Meese is a big fan. Mitch Scooby's a big fan. And that's another great place to communicate, because inside of that piece of technology, we're communicating effectively each and every day. We're loading up that schedule inside of Service Fusion with all of the detailed job notes that are given to us by the GPS companies or the customer, the end user, and we're putting that detailed documentation into Service Fusion. So now my install tech has an app in his hand, on his phone or his tablet, whatever he's more comfortable with, and there's all his work, his point of contact information, addresses, you name it, it's there. So that's another cool thing to use if you want to improve your communication. That leads me into the next topic here. So externally, you're going to need a CRM in place, okay? And the reason you're going to need a CRM in place is you need a centralized database to store all of your customers' contact information. I can't stress that enough. Um, so for many years, I would say the first probably 4 or 5 years that we were in business, we didn't have any kind of formal documentation, no CRM, no Service Fusion, nothing like that to store customer data. And when it came time to look up a customer's contact info, whether it was an email, a phone number, an address, it was simply just an email search. And I cannot begin to tell you how cumbersome that was, how much time it wasted. So, yeah, listen, without a CRM in place, your team, you're going to be wasting precious time that we already discussed the other day. You can't get time back once it's wasted. You're going to waste that time searching for information that should be at the fingertips of your entire team, your entire organization at any given time. Okay, so you got to put this stuff in place. Otherwise, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. All right, moving on here. It's a big one, and I see a lot of business owners doing this. This isn't, the information I'm giving you here isn't directly correlated to the GPS tracking industry. However, I see a fuck ton of it here. This is something I see across all businesses, okay? You as the business owner cannot hoard your information. When you hoard information, that means you get information. Someone calls you, someone sends you a document, sends you an email, sends you a Slack message, whatever the case is. If you do not give that information, if you don't pass it on to your team and notify other people in your organization, you become the bottleneck. And ultimately, your communication is going to suffer. I hope that makes sense. I've done it personally. I know my partner's done it as well. And it's something that took us several years to become aware of. And then once we removed that blockage, okay, which the bottleneck was us, once we removed that, we saw a direct correlation to the impact on our cash flow in a positive manner. All right, so because we're the bottleneck, basically restricting the flow of business, of things getting done, of tasks being completed, we now affect cash flow. So by putting software in place, by putting the right team in place, by putting the right training in place, we remove those bottlenecks. And ultimately the business becomes more of a free-flowing, congruent business because we're not sticking our own self in the way because we feel like we need to have our hands on everything. All right. So there's a company that we use to document and onboard and train our new team members here at Top Class. It's a company that we've gotten involved with very recently, and they've got a great motto. And I'm going to basically read it to you verbatim because I believe in it that heavily. It's one of the reasons I dropped the money to start working with this company. The company's called Trainual, and it's an online training and basically an online training platform for your team. So their methodology here is do it, document it, and delegate it. So you have to go out there and do the work yourself so you understand what it is. Okay, so if you're the technician, cool, but you can't be the technician forever, right? So go out there, do the work, get really fucking good at it, document it, document the way that you want it done. And obviously, that's tough in our industry a little bit just because of the fact that every GPS company we work for wants it done a different way. But that's where the documentation comes into play, okay? Once you have it documented, then you can effectively delegate the work. So this method provides effective communication for years to come since you no longer have to hold someone's hand while training them. But only if you follow the method, only if you're using video, only if you have these, again, systems, processes, and software in place to train your team. Okay, I'm not saying this is a replacement for hands-on, one-on-one individual training. By no means it is, okay? But if you could, let's say the average time to train a new technician is 3 months, Okay. I mean, like, shit, take a guy ground up, doesn't know anything. It's at least 6 months, I think. So if you got a 6 month window to properly train somebody, if you could cut that in half, if you can cut it down to 3 months by giving them some onboarding before they even hit the streets and hit the road with you for their on the job training, I mean, how much faster would you have your team up to speed and functional? How many less mistakes would that person make because they understand the lingo of the industry? They understand what your company is about. They understand your company culture. They understand the vision. They understand the history of your company and why you started the business and who it is that you serve. This is all the kind of stuff that you should be documenting and hosting in a training site such as Trainual. Okay. Trainual is pretty cool. It actually syncs directly with our payroll provider, which is Gusto. We use Gusto and love them. They're pretty freaking awesome. And basically what happens now is once we hire somebody, we set them up in Gusto. Gusto sends them out emails and sends out all the documents that they need to sign. Once they get everything back into Gusto, Gusto sets them up inside of Trainual and basically says, here's your training. So before that guy or girl, or woman comes into the job site for the first day, there they are. They're getting trained. They're coming through our onboarding processes, which is great. So I've got some links here I'm going to post up after this video goes live in case anybody has any questions. Okay. The first software that I mentioned was Slack. The other one that I mentioned was Trainual. Okay. I have an affiliate link for Trainual that I had created for this group. So if you use this link and you're interested in it, you're going to get a discount and you're going to put some money in my pocket. I'm just being completely transparent. Also, I've been talking heavily about CRMs and what we use and what I've used for years. So I've got another affiliate link for Keep. All right. Again, this is an affiliate link that I had created specifically for the group. You're going to get a discount on Keep. And yes, I'm going to put a couple of dollars in my pocket. Once again, just being completely transparent. But if I can set up these deals and get you guys discounts on this software that you can then implement into your business so you can become better, more efficient, and ultimately succeed in business, then I am living in alignment with my passion. And like I said earlier, my passion, my purpose is to help others succeed in business. So that's pretty much it. It's what I got for you guys tonight. If anybody here has any questions, once again, as always, I'm be more than happy to answer. Just shoot them up here in the comments. Last night, for some reason, I didn't see half the comments until the video ended. But I will try to interact here with you guys for a couple minutes. Let me know what you got. Check my good old phone here. Facebook changed the live interface. So when you go live in Facebook now, it's updated, and I can't stand it, by the way, just for the record. Let's see what we got. All right, I don't see anything here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back again for day number 6. Tomorrow's a big one. It's one of my personal favorites. We're going to discuss self-development. Going to be back in here again at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I really look forward to touching on this here because there's a bunch of stuff that I think is... this is a topic, this is an area that I jumped in real heavy for myself personally. And it's one of the reasons that I'm able to do what I am today. I'm able to give back like I am. And I have a real passion for it. So tomorrow's going to be a great night. And I really hope that you guys will be back here to tune in for that one. Once again, if you want to watch this video again, just head over to the unit section. And if there's someone who's not in the Facebook group, just send them over to my YouTube channel. Just type in my name in YouTube, Thomas Keenan. You guys know I don't have an H in my name, so it's Thomas. And you'll get linked right up to that YouTube channel. Also, you can always just head over to connectwiththomas.com. And that right there is pretty much every single link to my online social media and website, web connections. Anything that I have ever had on the internet is pretty much at that link right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys are getting value from this. And that's it. Have a great night.